If you are alive, then chances are that you've heard of the name Jackie Chan. A film legend in his own right, Jackie Chan has appeared in over 150 films spanning over 6 decades and shows no signs of slowing down. He's an incredible performer, known for performing death-defying stunts and perfectly choreographed fight scenes with great comedic timing, which usually involves the use of props in an innovative manner. Many have referred to him as the Buster Keaton of Eastern cinema, and rightfully so, because the things this guy is able to do in front of the camera is nothing short of spectacular and can be a subject of its own entire video. Now, me being born in the late 90s, I didn't grow up on what most people consider the classic Jackie Chan movies like Your Police Story and Drunken Master 1 and 2. Instead, I grew up with these English speaking films like Mr. Nice Guy, Rush Hour, the Shanghai films, and the topic of today's video, Who Am I?, which as far as I can remember was my introduction to Jackie Chan. Who Am I is a 1998 action comedy written by Jackie Chan and directed by the duo of Jackie and Benny Chan, no relations, which stars Jackie Chan as an ex-CIA operative trying to recover his identity after losing his memory as a result of a covert operation gone wrong. Now, this is one of those movies I remember really enjoying as a kid. It has the usual blend of Hong Kong action and comedy you'd expect from a Jackie Chan movie, mixed with an espionage-filled adventure you'd expect from a Western spy thriller like the James Bond or Jason Bourne movies. But it's really, really campy,
Feels good.
which is probably the reasons why most of us enjoyed it as a kid, and some of us still do as adults who enjoy a good laugh once in a while. This film came out in the same year as Rush Hour, which was a big hit, and the fact that it never got a big theatrical release is probably the reasons why most people have kind of forgotten about it over the years, which is such a shame because this film marks a very important transitional period in Jackie Chan's career, as after this he would go on to make predominantly Hollywood movies for a while. So I saw the movie recently because nostalgia, and I felt like reminding people what it was all about, because that's what I do in this channel most of the times. So let's have a look at it and remind ourselves of what worked and what didn't work in it. So the film starts with a group of miners discovering a new highly reactive compound somewhere in South Africa. They don't even bother to give it a name, so we're going to call it the Rock. The rock seems to produce huge amounts of unstable energy, which is useful information they could have given the driver before he decided to transport it like a madman. After that totally real-looking explosion, we catch up with Jackie Chan and his team of commandos on a mission assigned to them by the CIA to retrieve the new compound and the scientists performing tests on them because the US apparently wants a piece of the action or something. After some questionable-looking effects, the team is successful and they are dismissed. I just love the way Jackie Chan collects those bags. On their way out, however, the team is betrayed by an evil CIA operative, Morgan, who together with another retired general, Sherman, wants to sell the new energy source to an arms dealer. They are left for dead on a plane that is rigged to crash, and Jackie Chan becomes the only survivor after falling from the plane before it went down, but ends up badly injured with amnesia. Now, if you saw the original cut of this movie, this scene is shown to us later on as flashbacks, but in the US version, it's kept in the beginning, and that's the version which I saw recently. Morgan informs the CIA that everyone from the team has died, unaware that Jackie Chan survived. Jackie Chan awakens to find himself taken in by a native South African tribe. Due to the language barrier between them, they start referring to Jackie Chan as which kind of becomes a running gag in this movie. The fact that everyone is referring to him as Who Am I, since he doesn't know his actual name. It's really dumb, but kind of funny in some points.
Mr. Morgan.
Who's that?
No, it's Who Am I? Remember me?
He's integrated into the African community, which is totally believable because Jackie Chan is a pretty likable guy. After his recovery and one extended scene where he was almost mauled to death by a lioness after he was caught playing with one of his cubs, he discovers the site of the plane crash, which triggers some of his memory back, and also discovers a road there he somehow never saw before in the period he was there, and decides to leave. On his journey to civilization, he comes across Yoki, a professional rally driver who is stranded after having a flat tire, with a co-driver slash brother who is also suffering from a snake bite. He decides to help them out because apparently Yuki is a professional driver who doesn't know how to change a tire. Look at her trying to convince Jackie Chan that the flashlight she's holding is a gun.
This is the gun. I can bang you. I
can bang you!
I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker.
I always have a hard time believing whether it's medically possible to use a coconut as an IV. But who cares? They get back in the race with Jackie Chan driving this time and even manage to somehow win the race. Were the other racers sleeping or something? Anyway, them winning the race results in Jackie Chan being famous, and Morgan finds out that he survived and has no memory. They go to Johannesburg, where Yuki's brother is hospitalized, and they meet up with Christine, who claims to be a journalist who wants an exclusive with Jackie. Morgan also introduces himself to Jackie, pretending to be an ally. Yeah, I would totally trust someone who spoke like this.
I'll be in touch. Thank you. Very soon.
He finds out Jackie doesn't remember anything, but orders his men to kill him anyway, because that's what bad guys do. After a failed experiment on the Rock, which blows up a nuclear power plant, Jackie is recognized by one of the officers in the police station, who calls internal affairs on him, who are looking for the operatives that kidnapped their scientists. They take him in for interrogation, blaming him for the explosion and the other crimes committed by Morgan's men. It's at this point, 45 minutes into the movie,
Are you yawning?
where we get the first martial art fight scene as Jackie fights off his interrogators and escapes while still handcuffed. He goes back to his hotel to find Morgan's hitmen are also looking for him, and they have also handcuffed Christine by the car as she was there looking for him. Jackie manages to evade them using his famous parkour skills, and Yuki is also conveniently there, so they all get into a car and we get into an intense car chase scene with all the carnage and comedic spots you would expect.
Will you stop changing gears?
Fire better road!
I always laugh at this guy's reaction after getting hit by the stones. This chase scene is really entertaining with some amazing stunts that were actually done for real. One was even ripped straight out of a Bond movie. Christine manages to crack the secret code written in the matchbook found by Jackie Chan earlier in the crash site, and it leads them to one skyscraper in Rotterdam. Gee, I wonder how she was able to do that.
I'm with the CIA. I gotcha.
Jackie attempts to call Morgan, who sends his hitman after discovering his location. We get into another action set piece, which involves wooden shoes, Jackie Chan almost being run over by a truck, and crushed by a piano and other things while he was trying to save a dog. Because that's what nice guys do. One thing I like about this scene is the location. The beautiful architecture around them provides a really beautiful background to the action sequences. After battling Morgan's men, Jackie sneaks into the skyscraper, using a really cool looking bike, and discovers General Sherman's grand scheme to weaponize the Rock and sell them to an arms dealer named Amano, who kind of looks like a gangster in the wrong decade.
Short stuff. You got my disc.
While they were waiting for the transaction to complete, Jackie manages to steal the disc containing the information about the sample and transfers the money intended for Sherman to some children's fund. They try to attack him, but Sherman is old and Amano is just useless. Jackie tries to hide from the henchmen who have been made aware of his presence in the building. He runs into Morgan, who tries one more time to deceive him, but this time Jackie is one step ahead.
You'll never know who you are.
You done fucked up now!
He escapes to the roof. We get to the infamous rooftop fight scene with Jackie Chan and the two henchmen. This for most people is the highlight of the movie, myself included. The action is so well choreographed in this scene, and everything is shot clearly with no shaky cam that is prevalent in most Hollywood movies today. So you know it's legit. And the soundtrack to this is also pretty awesome. There's also some good comedic moments here and there that always gets me laughing. My favorite scene would have to be where one of the henchmen removes his tie and jacket after seeing Jackie Chan use them against the other henchmen. Always leaves me laughing. All this is capped off with probably the most memorable stunt in the entire movie, as Jackie Chan slides off a 24-story building. Is there anything this guy won't do? He's after Morgan now, who has the disc and is planning to get away. But with the help of Christine, and apparently the entire army, managed to corner him. Morgan is arrested and Jackie throws the disc into the river to end the film.
He also told me, respect nature.
Yeah, because that was the message all along. Not Jackie Chan trying to find his identity, which he never actually does in the entire movie. So that was it. So that was the movie. How was it held up? Okay, I guess. The film is kind of weak on the plot and its characters. Some of the acting and the dubbing in some scenes are horrendous. No one goes through any form of a character arc, including Jackie Chan, which is weird as this movie is supposed to be about him trying to recover his identity. We never get the sense that he's learned anything about himself, even in the end. A movie with a similar premise to this came out a few years later, known as The Bourne Identity, which just like this tells a story of a CIA agent trying to recover his lost memory after a mission gone wrong leaves him with amnesia. The only difference is, in that film, he slowly starts to put together pieces of his past throughout the movie. And in the end, we see that the knowledge of his past and the things he's done before has changed him as a person and his outlook to the organization he used to serve. Here, they just tell us in the end that the CIA is going to look up his identity, and that's it. It can be a bit underwhelming from a character standpoint, and Jackie Chan is not really known for his dramatic acting, so some of the serious emotional scenes come across as unintentionally laughable at times. The other actors are also not that interesting. Christie is just your standard femme fatale. Yuki is kind of just there for the ride. The villain is pretty okay for this type of movie, and it's always kind of funny seeing how he always has a way of explaining himself out of situations with Jackie Chan. But enough about that. You don't watch these movies for the characters or the plot. You watch it for the action, and it does deliver. The martial arts sequences are perfectly choreographed with great comedic and memorable moments, but it takes a while to get to them, which is weird for a film with the tagline "Fight now, ask questions later." But once it gets to the action, it's pretty entertaining for the most part. My only criticism is that the action scenes are a bit, how do I put it, safe. There's no real danger to them, and the serious ones happen off screen. We have a lot of guns, but no one ever gets shot or anything. It's clear that this tame violence is aimed at kids, which is why kids would most certainly love this movie. But for some adults who can appreciate campy movies, I can see them enjoying it. I don't know where I rank it among other Jackie Chan movies. It's not bonkers like Mr. Nice Guy, but it's also not in the level of something like Drunken Master 2. At best, Who Am I is a fun, campy B-movie that combines Jackie Chan's brand of action comedy with a spy thriller adventure plot, which punches its way to a 2 out of 5 for me. Category: